Let's start that again. Well, usually there's a
Just
intro.
talk.
Okay, since TJ's too rude to introduce me, I'll go into our first discussion topic. It's over there. Right. So I'll head off. No, I can't speak now. I'll head over to our first discussion topic. I want to dig a little deeper. I can't speak now. I'm gone.
I
Yeah, I
think it's
think.
great. Really? You're just gonna walk all over me? Anyways,
And
so
you, and you had the nerve to tell me to come up for a. No, cool. We just appreciate our newest. Let's start that again. Lastly, would you like to? Can't read. I can't read. Our education system's failed me. Let's start that again.
Welcome in, everyone, to episode 104 of the Plastic Posse podcast. Appreciate you guys riding along with us as we talk about the best hobby out there, which is, of course, scale modeling. Before we get started, let's give a shout out to our Outriders, our Patreon supporters, especially the Deputy Marshals. They help bring you the Plastic Posse every 2 weeks. And we also want to give a special thanks to our partners. We've got Tankcraft, Tamiya USA, Bases by Bill, and AK Interactive. Today we are missing a couple of people. We've got Doug and JB that are out and about, but we are joined by a special friend, our favorite uncle, Martin. Welcome back to the Posse.
Yo, yo. It's an honor to be back.
It's good to have Martin back in, and we're excited to pick his brain and talk models with him. Let's start with a quick go around, talk about what each of us have been working on in the last few weeks, and we're going to start with our guest. So, Martin, what projects have you been working on, if you can talk about them?
So I've been working on the diorama for the Land Rover tow truck, which I finished and already posted on YouTube. And I don't know, it's a small diorama because the car is very small, but somehow it's turning out to be one of the more, I'm not going to say most complex, but more complex dioramas I've ever done. Because I sort of try to combine my building facades and implement them into the diorama, which in concept sounds weird, but I think it'll make sense when the video comes out. But basically, I'm implementing all of those hardcore facade techniques into the buildings that are in the diorama. There's a rusty corrugated metal shack in there, and also a wall and a roof of a garage. And yeah, I mean, for the past 2 days, I think I've been painting just the wooden barn door, and it's so much fun. I'm completely blown away by how much fun you can have with a couple of styrene sheets that are just textured with the metal wire brush. And I think I'm gonna finish the barn door tonight, and then it's just gonna be the slate roof on the garage, and then the terrain. There are a couple of concrete slabs, some dirt and grass, and the figure as well. And then maybe some details, because otherwise it would look quite clean and unnatural. And as we know, all the garages and shacks, they are always surrounded with a lot of junk. So I'll have to invest a bit of time into that as well. But yeah, it's just so much fun. Like, if it were for me, I would just be building these dilapidated buildings all the time.
That's awesome. And Jensen, I see you shaking your head a lot. It's almost like you know what Martin's speaking to.
Yeah. So I too am working on a barn. A stupid project I really shouldn't have started this close to SMC. But I've had a setback with it. So again, the SMC project, the M3 Stewart initial, being inspected by two mechanics inside a barn I said this the other day to JB. What I should have done is done a much more smaller, focused build like he's done, rather than a full structure inside and out with all this interior stuff, a full interior tank and figures and animals. But yeah, just hearing Martin say how much fun he's having with the barn, I was just like, yeah, I can't say the same. It's been a lot. It's been stressful, like so much stress that Grant and Scott had the pleasure of telling me how homeless I looked when I first joined the Zoom call. Yeah, it's a lot. There's not a lot of sleep at the minute. It's just constant bench time, and this room is a disaster. It, like made me laugh the other day. Scott posted pictures like, oh, like final rush to the Posse 100 build bench disaster. I was just like, I would consider that a very clean bench. But yeah, just it's getting there. I've still got to pin wash the M3. I've got to weather it, finish the tracks. I've got to do a dark pin wash on the barn for all the panels between the wood planks and the beams and the wiring. I've still got to paint the Chew Mail Pouch Tobacco advert on the outside and weather that. I've still got to paint and weather the corrugated metal roof. And I've got 3 days to do it all.
Yeah,
Who
no
knows?
pressure.
Yeah, by the time this episode goes out publicly, it'll be the Wednesday in which I'm traveling to the Netherlands. So when this episode comes out, people will know if it got finished or not.
Well,
I might get it done. Who knows?
For the record, no one said you looked homeless. We said you looked rugged. and also easier is not always better. I love the fact that you just dove in and scratch built the barn, and there we go. And you've tried all kinds of new things, and I mean, other than the stress, you seem to be really enjoying this kind of new aspect of your modeling.
Yeah, I love to like stress myself out and give myself real last minute deadlines. That's when I seem to be most productive. It's not like I've known SMC was coming around since last year.
Well, keep up the great work, and I love the shelves and the detail that you're putting into it. It's looking really, really good. So anyway, well, let's move over to TJ. TJ, what have you been working on?
I've also been trying to get ready for SMC. I got all my models done. Everything's built. I've been working on some bases. I made a little base for the Wildcat that I'm going to take. I made that this morning, or I painted it this morning. I used the Mini Art PSP Marston mat, cut a little square, painted it. I've kind of followed what Jeremy Moore did when he used the same stuff on his P47. Did a little bit different, but kind of used his like general guide. Got that glued down. I glued down the Sherman to its base, so it's never going to move, which is a little disappointing because the underside's painted and you're never going to see it. And yeah, I glued down the Whippet to its base that I picked up from my buddy Jeff last night. Me and my wife and him and his wife went out at happy hour and light dinner type of thing, and he handed me over the base. So yeah, I've got to build a cradle for the Wildcat in the case out of foam, and after that, that's it. I'm ready to go. I'm 100% ready. Everything will be packed up probably by tomorrow evening, because I'll probably work on that cradle after we're done here. And yeah, I'm ready to go. Then I just got to pack all my clothes.
Nice. That's awesome. It's looking like it's going to be a fun trip for you guys. I've been working on just getting ready for MMSI. I'm going to take my AK facade. I've also been trying to wrap up the Tamiya Panzer 1, making a base for it. And I'm not sure if I'm going to display that or enter it, but trying to get that all finished and wrapped up. I'm excited to go to that show, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Grant, what about you? What have you been working on?
Same as everybody else. I'm just getting ready for MMSI in Chicago next week. I have figures done. Most of my figures are done. I'm working on one more right now. Hopefully have that done. Working on some bases on an older kit, an older figure vignette. I'm trying to finish up, make a little bit cleaner looking and nicer. And that's about it. Like everybody else, just getting prepared to go to a show.
Yeah, you're on an awesome judging team for MMSI. You got some good people you're going to be working with there.
Yeah, I was really happy about that. I ended up getting Fantasy Open, which is basically scratch building and fantasy figures. So that's going to be a really good judging team. I was really lucky this year. I was thought I was going to go back into historical open, But this is going to be a blast. So I'm working with some great people, and you too. You got a great team yourself, and you've got some fun times ahead of you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be in the historical painters category again this year. It's just incredible people. It's a lot of fun. So great show. All right, well let's stick with Grant. He's going to lead us through models that we liked on the Plastic Posse group.
All right, so here we go. Models we liked on the Posse page. I'm going to start off with Scott. So Scott, what did you find?
Yeah, I'm going to go with my buddy Barry Biediger. He did for our group build. He did a 148 scale Martyr 3, little Tamiya kit, and he built a complete driver's interior for it and used the 3-color camouflage on it. It turned out really, really good. I liked his paint work on it, and the vehicle looked really, really good. So that's going to be my pick is the 148 scale Tamiya Martyr 3 by Barry Biediger.
Yeah, he did a great job on that driver's compartment. I'm really glad he doesn't do vehicles all the time because he would be really good at it. All right, TJ, what did you find?
I'm going to go with Connor Rolf's RFM T3485 that he posted a couple of days ago. I built that kit. It's awesome, and it's a fun build, and I really just like the way he did it. And he's got the little Alpine figure, the seated tank commander, Russian tank commander. It's a great figure. And it's one of my favorite Alpine sculpts, and he did a pretty damn good job painting it. That's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, it is really nice. I like that figure too. It's really, really nice. Jensen, how about yourself?
I picked it's a P-26A by Eric Kota, World 148th Hobby Boss Boeing P-26A. It's such a cute little aircraft, little pea shooter. It's blue and yellow, like pre-war or very early war. Very clean job on it. Very nice, vibrant colors of the early blue and yellow. Looks really good. And if you want to follow his work, he's also Ace of Spades Model Works. So that's just a little shout out to his page as well. Really nice, clean build.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And Martin, how about you?
I have to admit, I just joined the group today.
That's
because
okay.
each time I listen to you talking about these models, I sometimes went to look on your Facebook page, like where can I see them? And I didn't find anything. So today I asked Scott, like, where do I have to join? And yeah, my picks are, the first one is a figure actually, and it's a Arachnid Warrior from Starship Troopers, which was shared by Cody Kuczynski, but it seems that the author is Stanislaw Czarnecki, both guys from Poland, it seems. And this figure is hand carved from scratch, and it's just absolutely amazing. At first, when I saw it, I thought like, okay, this has to be some kind of high quality 3D print, but no. And when I'm looking at it, it's just so awesome, and it's so the paint job is so lifelike, and you can even see collections of dust on its shell, which is totally awesome. Like it's a weathered figure. The planet was a dusty planet in the film, and every bit of that is captured there. So that completely blew my mind. And the second one, it's actually from the Posse. It's from JB, and it's the M1340. That one, I know the historical photo he's based it on, and I have it saved on my computer. And I was like, if I ever build this tank, I'm gonna build it like this. And so yeah, perfect subject, and the execution is just brilliant. It's so balanced, and just like that right balance between realistic and artistic, and it's just a pleasure to look at.
Yeah, I mean, both your selections are fantastic. The creature, you're right. The weathering on that creature is phenomenal. If anybody hasn't looked at it yet, please go take a look at it. They did a fantastic job. It's just, you sit back and you just look at all the little minute minutia in that figure. It's beautiful. And JB, of course, is JB. He's going to build something beautiful.
Since JB is not here, I'm going to fluff him up a little bit. But I told him the other day that I think it was maybe even yesterday. That might have been Thursday. I can't remember. But I told him, I was like, dude, I think that 1340 is probably your best work. And that's an admittedly high bar, because I think JB's models are amazing. And I haven't even seen it in person yet. And he hasn't even posted like the finished photos. Me and a couple other people have seen some other photos that, he hasn't like put out there, they're just bench shots, but different angles and close-ups of the different, pieces he's worked on. all the little stuff as he's done it, and damn, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying.
Cool. Yeah, it is. It really is. I told him it's just, I do agree, TG. I do believe he did take a step farther this time. It really is nice.
I like Martin's comment about the balance of realism and also kind of impressionism, being a little bit creative, but it's amazing how much he disliked that kit when he started it.
Yeah.
And he was not feeling it at all, and how far it's come, and it's executed at a really high level, obviously, and I think he'll do well at SMC with it, and it's a beautiful model, and I like his base too. I think he really put some thought into the way that he presented it, and I think that turned out really, really well.
Definitely. And then we're going to end up with me. So I selected Sully scale models, 1/32 scale HK Lancaster nose art kit, which is basically the cockpit and the nose of the Lancaster that you can buy for 1/32 scale. But Sully's scale models, they put a crew in it. He lit it. He's in the process of finishing the painting now. It looks really great. Just my hats off. That's an interesting build with which he's done. And by putting a crew in it, gunners in the nose and all that, and the red lighting has just been great. Just beautiful. All right, I'm going to pass it back over to Scott so he can talk about the group build.
All right, thanks, Grant. Yeah, just kind of one more review and some kind of instructions on how we're going to proceed. So obviously, the entire posse is going to be traveling either to SMC or MMSI. So it'll be after we all get back that we kind of progress. But anyway, just to summarize again, we had 300 people participate, which is unbelievable for a 6-week group build. We're looking like we're right around 180 to 200 completions. We're getting more every day. JB's compiled a list of everyone who has finished in time and reached out to JB like he asked him to, but we're still getting people kind of every day. Hey, I'm not on the list. I'm not on the list. So there's a sheet posted on the Plastic Posse group with everybody that we know of. If you're not on there, go ahead and respond in the thread where that sheet is, or send JB a PM. We'll get everybody on the list. We're not in a hurry on this. We're going to get everybody. So if you're not on the list, go ahead and send JB a note of what it is that you finished and then some pictures of it, and we'll get you on there. We're going to conclude all of the festivities sometime in November following the MMSI and SMC shows. And remember, we're going to be bringing some very special guests like our friend Mr. Kovac here to record with us. We're going to have Rick Lawler, Martin. We're going to have Adam Wilder and Spud, who are going to help us. They're all going to pick their favorite armor piece from the group build. And then we're going to have Chris Sieber, a.k.a. Lufrom 72, and the Sam Dwyer help us pick some aircraft. And then the posse, we're going to pick some awards as well, just kind of for our favorites from the group. Anybody that gets selected, besides the honor of being selected, we're going to send you a little gift kind of over and above the challenge coin and the poker chip that we're sending everybody who did finish. So that'll be something to look forward to. You're going to want those poker chips with that artwork designed by Peter. He did such a great job. But anyway, just main thing I just want to remind everybody is be patient. We've got these shows to get to. We are going to have poker chips and coins at MMSI and SMC. So if you see us at those shows, come up and say hi. Let everybody know in the posse, hey, I did finish the group build. We'll give you your posse coin and your poker chip right there in person. If not, when you send the address to JB as part of your submission, then we'll get those in the mail. Again, just be patient, and it'll be great to get that stuff out. You don't want to miss that episode when we record with our guests, some really fantastic modelers. I look forward to their perspective and see what they really, really liked. I would say that's probably going to get wrapped up in episode 105, but more probably maybe like 106. So something to look forward to. So anyway, speaking of things to look forward to, let's kick it over to TJ to talk about some events that are coming up soon.
All right. In addition to MMSI and SMC, as previously mentioned multiple times, there's a couple other shows coming soon that we want to highlight. And the first one is our good friends Bill Moore and Frank Damon asked us to mention the 2024 Middle Tennessee Model Con at Murfreesboro, Tennessee, at the Rutherford County Agricultural Center. Show date is Saturday, November 9th, and doors open at 9 a.m. Judging starts at noon. You can find all the pertinent information about this show at www.ipmsmiddletennessee.com. Then also on November 9th is the 2024 Capital Classic presented by the Austin Scale Modeler Society. This year's show theme is the movies. Gee, I wonder what that show theme is all about. The show is located in the Williamson County Expo Center in Taylor, Texas. Doors open at 9 a.m. Head on over to austinsms.org for all the info. And remember, you can send all your upcoming shows and events to plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com. We will add them to our calendar on our Facebook page.
Displaying a model on a base is a great way to showcase a build and have it stand out, whether on the show table or just on your shelves at home. If you find yourself in need of a display base worthy of your models, Bases by Bill has the solution for you. Their quality bases are a perfect way to display and enhance any special model you have. From US and Japanese carrier decks to custom-sized cherry hardwood bases, Bases by Bill display bases are available for any type of model and for any size. Bases by Bill is now a US reseller for one-man army high-definition laser-cut painting masks, which bring incredible detail to your model without the tedium of using scores of decals. And right now, all one-man army orders include free shipping. Check out their website at basesbybill.com to see all of their fine modeling related products. Bases by Bill for all your model display needs.
I want to dig a little deeper into why each of us do this hobby. This may seem obvious, but aside from the basic mechanics of it, I would like to know what our primary motivations are for picking this particular hobby over others. Is it a love for history, or do we love being creative? Do we want external validation like awards, or do we want to be published? Do you find scale modeling to be relaxing, or does it scratch a creative itch you have? And I'm very curious to hear everyone's perspective on this subject. So, TJ, what's your perspective?
I actually think this is kind of a hard question to answer, and I've been asked it multiple times. I've told at least one of these stories before, and I know the first one was when I got to know my buddy Nate, who's a superintendent for a general contractor that the previous contractor I worked for did work for, and we kind of got, as we got to know each other when I was working on the job, I was running the mechanical on the job, and he was the general contractor superintendent, so we interfaced a lot. And as we got to know each other, I've never been shy about what I do for my hobby. Like, it's not like I'm not ashamed of it. And, it came up in conversation, and normally, in the industry I'm in, it's kind of like, I don't know, macho, I guess, for whatever reason, which makes no sense, but okay, it's just work. But, he like tried to like rib me about it. And I was just like, yeah, that doesn't really work on me. This doesn't affect me. Like, I'm very comfortable with what I do. And then after he realized that like I was really serious about it, because I guess in his mind it's like the little kid putting together something and glues everywhere and paints everywhere, which I mean that part is true if you can see behind me. But the view in a lay person's mind with what we do, right? The stereotypical view. And then I was like, you want to see pictures of what I make? He's like, well, sure. And then I showed him. He's like, oh, this is not what I thought. I was like, no, I take this, like, I'm pretty serious about this. It's like my thing, man. And he was kind of like, but like, why do you do this? I was like, I don't know. He's like, I'm just saying, it's just very strange. Like, you're a steam fitter. You put in these big pipes and weld and all this stuff, and you love football and sports and hockey. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and you used to have a fast car, but I got rid of it. Now I have a big truck. He's like, but then you go home and you build models. I was like, yeah. And he's like, that just is, I have a hard time wrapping my head around that. How someone that what you do for a living then goes home and does this. I'm like, yeah, but that's just because that's just what I do for a living. It's not who I am. This is who I am. And he's like, but why? And I couldn't really give him a good answer other than, oh man, it's just like really fun. Like that's really what it is. And I had a similar instance with my new boss of the company I work for when we were were driving out to look at a job together, and we were kind of talking about it. And he was like, I was telling him about you guys and who I like all the people I've met and the people I know all over the world. And he was like, so how did you like get into this? I was like, I don't know. One day I was like, oh, I should build a model. He's like, that's it? I was like, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just, I was bored one day and was like, I should build a model. So I started building models. He's like, that's really interesting. I'm like, yeah, I guess. But yeah, like why this over anything else that I do? I don't know. It is, I mean, I do love history, but I've loved history my whole life, but I've only been modeling for 10 years. Yeah, 10 years or so, 11 years, something like that. So yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of strange. It's just a fun hobby. Plus, I made a lot of cool friends. That's why I keep doing it because I meet people and go places with them. And yeah, I don't know if you told me 10 years ago that I'd be traveling Europe with, some of my best friends who I met from doing scale, like building scale models, I would have thought you were crazy, but here we are. Yeah, I don't know. Good. That's a good non-answer, I feel like.
Yeah, kind of. But what role did wargaming play? I mean, did you start playing like role playing games and stuff after you started building models, or this same time, or?
No, I mean, I know you know the story, and I'm sure anyone that's heard me talk about it knows the story, but I started with like Warhammer stuff, and I only did that because I played computer games and I played Dawn of War when that came out in like the mid-aughts, somewhere around there. It's a real-time strategy game based in the 40K universe, and I'm a real-time strategy guy. Like Command and Conquer is my favorite game of all time, especially Command and Conquer 2 in the Red Alert series, even more so for anyone else that likes Command and Conquer. So when, I was like, oh, a sci-fi, real-time strategy game, cool. And I was kind of vaguely familiar with Warhammer just from being a nerd, being into that kind of stuff and seeing Games Workshop stores, what they used to call them back in the day, at the mall and stuff. So, but I'd never played the game or built anything. But yeah, I don't know. It was after I had, I think my first kid, oh, maybe my second kid. Yeah. And I just needed something to do that wasn't video games because I was getting burned out on playing video games all day, or like as my only hobby. And my other hobbies were expensive and took time away from the house, like shooting and I played a lot of paintball back then, and that crap's just like super expensive. And I only have the weekends really, other than, in the evenings during the week. So yeah, I was like, oh, I bet I could, this looks like fun. Like I like art, I guess. So yeah, I started doing that and then, found tanks just like coincidence because a modeler that I followed, who I know we've talked about, Andy Moore, um, also built tanks and a bunch of sci-fi stuff, which is how I found him. And I was like, oh crap, I could build tanks. That'd be cool. So I started doing that. So yeah, I don't know if does that answer your question, Scott?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, Andy's a big inspiration of mine as well. But yeah, I knew that you had painted a lot of Warhammer stuff and wondered kind of on the timeline. So
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's parallel, I guess. Now way less Warhammer stuff, way more scale modeling stuff.
what about you, Grant?
Uh, I've talked about this before. I started modeling when I was really young, 7 or 8. I started. My dad got me into it. I had the world's worst hand-eye coordination, so my dad thought maybe putting things together in a uniform pattern will help me, which it did. I modeled all through my teens into high school, and then it became uncool, like most people. So I got away from it for a little while. After college, I joined the military. I really didn't have to model too much. I did a little bit, but I had a lot of the real things around me. So I didn't have to model too much because I could go play on a Striker or a Bradley or a 113 or something like that. I really got back into it probably in the early 2002, 2003, when I started taking it more serious again. Still in the military, was a higher rank, needed some stress relief, and I remembered how fun modeling was. So I got back into modeling that way. And then that kind of just took off. I made some really close friends on a couple blogs. Lincoln Wright is one of them. We became friends in 2004, I think. Yeah, 2004, when I was in Iraq. And because I saw he had posted on his page, I found his page somehow. I don't remember how. And he posted one of his polar bears wave kits when they first came out, and it was just and I started talking to him. I think my modeling when I was younger, actually opposite of TJ, I think my modeling increased my interest in history, not the other way around. So the modeling, and I would see these things, and my dad was military, of course, also, so that helped also. But I think the modeling made me look at history more than I would have before, so that really helped. I like a lot of ex-veterans have a pretty decent case of PTSD. So the modeling for me is a relaxation. It helps me turn off my brain a little bit and build. Watching videos of like Martin here and seeing the work of Jensen and JB and Scott and TJ and everybody else in the posse has helped me find my way back into this hobby and enjoy it much more. Am I creative? I think, and we all think we're creative. I think now, I think, we've kind of figured that out. I think being creative is a great part of the hobby. I mean, we all figure out ways to make stuff work in the long run, and how to take sheet styrene or metal or brass plate and turning into something. I think that creativity is a part of this hobby, and I do believe that that does help involve me. But I think I just like to build. I mean, I've had other hobbies. I've had a lot of other hobbies. When I was younger in high school or junior high, I raced bikes. Was a BMX guy in Washington for a long time. But I got older, and then I found other things. I skied a lot. I skied a whole lot. But I just kind of always fell back into this, and I don't know why. I really don't. But I'm glad it did. I mean, it's like TJ said, it's also that I'm home, so I spend more time with my wife and my dogs, so that makes it nice. And I met people like everybody's saying. If you would have told me long ago that I would be traveling across everywhere to go see shows and see people and meet people like you guys, and I would have said there's no way. And but that's my reason.
Martin, how about yourself?
So it kind of is my job, and I like money. But no, jokes aside, similar to what Grant said, I just like to build cool stuff, and even awkward stuff, and try to make it look cool. And what else? Yeah, it's just sort of my creative outlet. I guess since I was a kid, I was sort of inclined towards how to put it, visual art style. Like some people are more inclined to acting or music. They have a good ears for music, and I guess I had a good eye for the visual stuff. And I've been building since I was a kid, and it was pretty much anything I could get my hands on. And then it was kind of, I think the main inspiration was video games again, because when I was a kid, we were playing Medal of Honor, and there was a tank mission there. Then I started playing Blitzkrieg, which was a real-time strategy, and it's like my all-time favorite game. Probably if I had the option, I would probably buy an old laptop or something so I could just play that game, because it's very old. And since then it was mainly armor, but I'm saying mainly because I just like to create pretty much anything. For a while I tried sculpting fantasy figures, more like monsters and stuff, from clay, and painting them with an airbrush, but then I kind of stopped doing that. When I was like less than 10 years old, I was building castles from styrofoam blocks, which my dad cut on a circular saw for me. And also I was making medieval siege machines from cocktail sticks. So yeah, it's just creating all kinds of stuff. And even now, when I pretty much do it every day for several hours, it just fulfills me, like I can sort of express myself in a way in what I do, and it's just awesome. Like even now, I'm sort of looking at new things or subjects I could explore. The other day, I ordered a new 3D printer, and I'm starting to think like, what can I do with that thing? And yeah, but at the same time, as the years progressed, I found that I need to offset this hobby, and especially when it was starting to become a job, like when I started making YouTube, sort of during the first year of that, there was like I can offset this with some outdoor activities such as mountain biking. So that's another sort of creative outlet where I can express myself. Even though it sounds weird, but trust me, it is in a way. And yeah, I think that's mainly it, like being creative and sort of looking at stuff from the real world or even from fantasy world and trying to put my own spin on that or interpret it in my own way. Yeah, that's just something that always makes me happy. And especially when I see something that seems completely normal, but it seems difficult to me because I'm used to, let's say, weathering tanks and now painting, I don't know, groundwork and grass and dirt. And then I see something, especially on buildings, something that's like normal, like spilled mortar from the bricks or an old barn door. And I sort of like, yeah, that's totally basic stuff, but how can I actually replicate that? And and playing with techniques that we all know and we've been using them for the longest time, stuff like dry brushing, or hairspray chipping and washes and stuff, and sort of combining them into this new workflow and creating something new for me. That always like brings some breath of fresh air into what I do, even though I have to do it every day, sometimes even over the weekends, but it keeps the thing fresh. So yeah, I guess my main motivation since the beginning was that I was sort of a creative kid, and this was my best outlet for that. And I didn't even stop during middle school or high school, even though it wasn't cool. But even then, I remember when I was a teenager, I was a metalhead, so I was listening to Slipknot and stuff, and I was making their masks for myself. And when we had a Halloween party at school, one year I came there as a Slipknot member, and people are like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool." Although he's a metalhead, so he's lame. But then the next year I made my own cosplay of Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. And when people saw that with the huge pyramid helmet and the huge sword, they were like, okay, they're like, this guy, he knows stuff. So then sort of even my classmates started to recognize it, like, yeah, that this is something cool, like all the things you can do. And yeah, I guess I just like to be creative.
How about yourself, Scott? Why do you do this?
Well, I mean, the short answer is I do this because of this podcast right here, this group of people that I'm talking to. I met TJ on the Scale Modelers Critique Group. He lives in Virginia. I live in Utah. Jensen, I met you. You didn't know, but when you were doing the Scale Model Shed podcast, and immediately just really enjoyed listening to your take on the hobby. I met.
Yeah, God, I can't wait to listen to all those episodes when we're driving around Europe too. It's gonna be so much fun.
We're not doing that. We're not. I'll cancel my flight if I have to listen to myself on a car drive.
Met Grant, really kind of officially at commies through the Posse, and Martin, started watching his videos, and I had the audacity to email him and say, hey, will you come talk to me on my podcast with a bunch of buddies? And he said yes. And so I'm sitting here in a group having a conversation with people that I consider as friends, and it's over this hobby, and for me that's the motivation. I don't know where the fascination with making miniature things comes from. It's something like my story's not that different than the rest of you guys. I was a 9-year-old kid and watched a sci-fi show called Battlestar Galactica that you guys are all probably too young to remember. And Grant's shaking his head. Okay, maybe Grant, but and then I saw the Viper that was designed for it and just fell in love with it. And the toys that they had at the time weren't very good. And buddy of mine had a model, and I saw the model, and it was just kind of the fidelity of that miniature of that design really, that Ralph McQuarrie design really blew my mind. And so that sort of kind of nudged me into the hobby. But yeah, I'm certainly not creative. I don't think to the level that you guys are. Certainly, Martin and Jensen and Grant, TJ, you guys are really really talented. But I love it, and but like I said, I'm going to go back to the fact that collaborating and getting inspiration from people that I admire as people and modelers is really what is the spark that makes me do what I do.
I want to add on, I think, to what I said earlier, or amend it, like not really amend it, but I guess I don't know what makes me want to do what I do, but now that I do it, there's things that make me want to continue to do it, and one of those is just like constant improvement. I like to try to get better at like everything that I do, right? Whether it's work or my hobbies, it's like mountain biking. I'm not a very good mountain biker. I'm not that talented. Like I enjoy it and I try to like get incrementally better. When I was still like target shooting a lot, like there's a way to like measure how well you do. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna move the target back further, see if I can shoot better, so on and so forth. Same thing when I played paintball, like, okay, I did good this round. I'm going to do better next round and not get hit and all that kind of stuff. So continuing like with building small version of things that I like, that is a way to keep me engaged because I can look at, okay, I finished this. This is what I really did well. I think this is what I need to do better on. I'll do something else and I'll take what I've learned and apply that to the next thing. And then the other thing that's really keeping me going, which is funny because I know I've mentioned it in like a million episodes that we've done so far. I used to hate to like build to photographs or build I kind of would always take it the Spud way because he's always like, oh, I model the next one in line, right? So Spud doesn't really model like from a photograph. He takes a photograph and takes things from it, and then I think that's exactly how he explained it on one of our episodes when he was a guest. He's like, yeah, I build the next one you don't see that's behind that one in the photograph that you can't see. That's the one I like to build. But here within the last year or so, I've been really into finding a photograph of something and being like, I want to build that exact one. Or like the Sherman that I finished, recently, I built the exact one that I crawled all over and took pictures of, exactly how it was when I saw it. And the next project I have is not really like that. It's similar. It's based on a real vehicle that I have pictures of and that I'm going to see in 4 days, I think. But I'm not building it as it is now. I'm building it as it was. But I have other things that I've started or things I have planned. They're all based on, in shocker, they're all Shermans of a specific vehicle that I know as much information as I can glean from, because that's the beauty of modeling Shermans. If you can find a couple of key features, you can parse out what else will be on the vehicle from the angles you can't see, just based on records, which I can do because I have a bunch of books and all that other stuff. So yeah, that's like my new driver. Yeah, to find something I really like and I think is really cool, and then make a small version of it that I can look at, even though it's kind of strange when you think about it. But I mean, I guess this whole hobby is a little strange when you think about it.
One of the things, TJ, is you're talking about, your modeling, as I've known you for a few years, your modeling has evolved. And, Martin makes a YouTube channel. And so we've gotten to kind of an ongoing library of how his work has evolved. And I think it's really fascinating and for me, inspiring to see how each of us change, how each of us improve and get better and specialize and everything. Just wondering what you guys think about that. Is that a motivation when you see somebody evolve and get better and go do different things?
Yeah, absolutely. I like watching, my friends, evolve in their hobby. Like I've always talked about Zach and Jackson. They're very good friends of ours, and mine specifically. And seeing them go from like when Zach first reached out to me years ago and it was like asking me a question, or I think I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, if you need a star mask with a circle on it, I have a bunch. I'll just mail them to you, dude. It's going to cost a stamp. It's 59 cents. I really don't care. I have a whole sheet of them. And then seeing, from what he used that little star mask on a Sherman that he built to what, he can do now. And like last year at Amps winning like best vignette as essentially a kid is pretty awesome. and that makes me like, oh man, I should get better. I'm like, I've never won a best of anything at a damn international show. I'm like, holy shit, like he has. I'm like, okay, I need to step it up. And seeing that, and same thing with Jackson. I've seen his entire collection of every model that he still has that he's built, and you can see where he started and to where he is now. And I've mentioned before, I love Jackson's work. He's a good friend of mine, and I think he's an amazing modeler. But going back before I knew him and seeing what he had done, and then seeing what he's capable of now is like really encouraging because I don't know, I feed off that kind of energy.
Martin, how do you feel about that? I mean, I think you are guilty of inspiring a lot of people with the way that your work has evolved with, figures and buildings and scenery and everything. But I mean, is that something that inspires you as well?
I think the community in general has a very huge impact on the individual. Like, I was just thinking about it, and you can see it pretty well with fandoms of any kind. Like, you can enjoy something, do some Googling about the thing you enjoy. Suddenly you find out there's a fandom around that thing. You start reading some discussions, maybe join the forum or subreddit or whatever, and suddenly you're pulled in. And you're completely obsessed with the thing, be it a TV show, a music band, or video game, whatever. So, and I think it's exactly the same with modeling. Like, most of us, I think, started like, closet modelers, doing it just for ourselves and maybe showing it to our mom or, significant other or whatever. And then maybe we find out that our classmate is also building models. So we start building these connections, and then you find out there's a modeling show, and you're like, yeah, why not? You go there, you meet people, and suddenly you're pulled in. And I think many people wouldn't be building models anymore if it wasn't for the community, because it's like we just cannot deny that it's a huge driving force for everyone.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more, for sure. Jensen, what do you think? I mean, we're TJ was teasing you about the scale model shed, but from the start of that to where you're at now, I mean, what motivates you, and what role does the community play in your own work?
Everyone teases me about scale model shed. Yeah, it's weird. Like, growing up, I was always creative. If it wasn't Lego, I was making like guns out of paper, like actual 3D that worked, or I was painting. I did music in school. I did art in school. Yeah, I've just always been someone who likes to do stuff, like just create things. And without sounding at all full of myself, I like to be good at stuff.
Why do you build models?
I was just about to say, and I'm waiting for TJ's joke to be like, why aren't you good at this? Yeah, I like to be good at whatever I'm doing. I like to be really good at, and I am a bit impatient. I like to be instantly good at things, like painting figures. I'm not good at that, and I want to be just instantly good. And a bit of an obsessive personality kind of got me in the position I'm in now. If I find a hobby that I'm relatively interested in, I'll then go 6,000% into it. I was like, oh, aquariums seem fun. 3,000 quid later, it's like, I've got quite a cool aquarium. I'm bored. All they do is swim. So different hobby. I start playing snooker. I get myself a £2,000 snooker club. Snooker club. I'm not playing golf. Snooker cue. Proves how much I play it now. And I've not played in 2 years. It's just been sat in my room. I get these little obsessive traits where I'm just like, okay, I'm remotely interested. Throw all this money at it and you'll be good. Doesn't work that way. And scale modeling was kind of the same situation. I've got this workshop I'm in now with a wall of paint and like nearly 500 kits in stash. So it's all right having the kits, but if you don't build them, you're not going to get good at building them. But this is one of those hobbies that have stuck. Because I do find genuine enjoyment out of it. And granted, I've been doing it properly since 2015-16, and only now I'm learning the lessons of it. It does require an initial investment. I'm going on a massive tangent here, by the way. It requires an initial investment, like airbrushes, compressors, things like that. But once you've got the foundation of stuff you can do it relatively cheap. You don't need a big stash of stuff. You don't need every paint brand under the sun. It's all right me saying that. I have them. But you can find the enjoyment in the more simplistic approach to it, which is kind of what I've started to find myself. I know I'm stressed at the minute with this SMC build, but there's been many a time I've been like, there's nothing more than I enjoy right now than just sitting at the bench with like a really basic, like £8 Earthix kit and just getting on with that. It's like a factory reset. It reminds me why I enjoy this hobby in the first place, and that's to create something from nothing. And I love doing that. I love seeing things come to life. Like what I'm working on at the minute, the whole barn thing. It started off as a concept, and now in front of me, I've got this big structure, and there's going to be a story in it, and it all comes to life from literally just a thought. And I think that's really motivating. Growing up, didn't have really any friends that scale models, so I couldn't really talk to anyone about it when I was in school and I did it. Because nowadays I tell people, "Oh yeah, I build models," and people are like, "Oh, like Earthix," and I'm like, "Yeah, but better." And that's not a slam at Earthix, but like more complex than those kits. Nowadays, the community, and we've got like the Triple P community, the Facebook communities, we've got YouTube communities, podcast community. That's 100% has kept me in the hobby, because knowing me, I would have found something else to throw my time at. And getting to know all these people who share a common interest and say ask you for advice, or you can go to them for advice. It kind of it relights the fire every single time it happens. It's just like, yeah, this is really fun. This is really cool, and I'm really glad I do this. Of all the hobbies that I could do, I'm so happy I do this one.
I really like you saying, getting enjoyment. I mean, I think Grant mentioned it's therapeutic a bit. There's, it helps him relax and helps him deal sometimes with stress. And I definitely feel like it does that for me. But, show deadlines aside, I think getting enjoyment is what keeps us going. Martin, you and I were talking the other day, and you're talking about your project, and you mentioned that you have deadlines that kind of stress you out a little bit, but you still get great joy out of what you do. And I think more than anything, that's why I keep going and doing it is the joy that the hobby brings us, right?
Yeah, I guess so. And also, when you set your personal deadlines, it kind of just keeps you productive. Like you can move on to the next project more quickly. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, when it's really crucial to finish something because other people are expecting it and you do it for a living, then kind of it's not as much fun, but still there are all the other aspects that just completely outweigh this one negative.
Yeah, I agree. I know JB would hate the fact that he's not here to discuss this part, but it's something I know TJ's mentioned sometimes. It's like there's a stress that we put on ourselves, but it's not a bad stress. It's like a welcome stress. It's like a stress that I kind of like, because it's making me do what I enjoy at a time where I probably would procrastinate if I could. Like this SMC stress I've got at the minute. Yeah, it's stressful. I mean, I'd like to have got this done a few weeks ago, but I don't hate it. It's making me work. And I do like that. Sometimes I'd really have to be forced to work. And this is one of those situations it's doing that. And I'm kind of grateful for the stress that, because at any point I could just be like, you know what? It's not going to get finished. I won't take it to the show. Big deal. But I want to get it done for the show. So that's a stress that I've put on myself, but it's not a negative, if that makes any sense at all.
And sometimes it really helps when you sort of stop overthinking things, because I felt very similarly to you when I was finishing the Ferdinand diorama with the factory floor. And I told myself, like, okay, this week is going to be finished because blah, blah, blah. And suddenly it was Tuesday evening. I was like, okay, but I still need to finish all those crates and these are going to take some time. So the next day, I knew that I would be painting crates, and normally it would be like with this barn door that I keep referring to all this time, that I would spend like 2 or 3 days just painting them, and suddenly I had to get them done in one day. And you sort of start to see like where you don't need to give so much crap about certain details, and it's still gonna look good and decent, and that also makes you better, because if you stay hyper focused on everything, then you're probably never going to finish anything, or you'll be finishing one model a year, and then you will have to sort of rediscover each technique again the next year when you're working on another model. And yeah, it just makes you more efficient, because this is something I noticed when you see those videos of street artists, who can paint a lifelike portrait of you in 2 minutes, on the street. Like, the master is not the one who spends time and goes back and forth because this sort of didn't work out, but in the end the result is fantastic. But the real skilled craftsman is the one who just basically sits on the street and paints a lifelike picture of you in 2 minutes, who knows exactly what to do, what to focus on, what not to focus on, and that's it. And I think these deadlines really help you to understand that.
Yeah, like, could not agree with more. Like, that's something I've realized with this is, if I've spent more time worrying about it than actually working on it, and rather than just like work with what's in front of me and get on with it, which I now finally have, it's kind of liberating, because it's like I don't have time to think and worry. It's in front of me, work with that, and it's kind of freeing. I do like it. Anyone else want to add anything before we move on? Okay, well, that was that was a really good discussion. I really appreciate that. So now let's head over to Scott for some feedback.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Plastic Posse podcast is sponsored by Tankcraft, makers of the highest quality cutting mats for your modeling bench. Tankcraft cutting mats are heavy duty, self-healing, come in 2 awesome sizes, and have World War II tank and aircraft blueprint style drawings on them. Spread out your next build on an olive green M4 Sherman or Dunkelgelb King Tiger mat, and they've got aircraft too. So check out all the designs and also their range of unique modeling tools over at tankcraft.com. That's TANKRAFT.com. Don't forget, Plastic Posse listeners can use the code POSSE15 to get 15% off your first order. Appreciate that discussion topic, Jensen. But if you've got feedback on how you gain validation or enjoyment from the hobby, let us know. Send us some feedback at plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com. All right, Mr. Smith is not with us, so I've got some feedback to share. We talked recently about getting the value of getting honest critique. It was kind of an impromptu discussion point that TJ brought up. Jan Baker sent in some feedback. He said, "Hello, Plastic Posse team. Hope you're doing well. As a recent follower of the podcast, I'm finding it very nice to hear good discussions during my drive to and from work. I really enjoy the talks and subjects you discuss, and it surely makes the drive to and from work a bit shorter. With SMC around the corner, I noted that some of your team will be there to judge the models in the competition this year. I would like to ask if possible, I could get some feedback on my entry this year. Last year, I entered and won a bronze, but I would really like some advice on how to get to the next level up. I hope to hear from you. Best regards from the Netherlands." So Jensen and TJ, you guys will be at SMC. What's your response to this?
Not really my place to say, not privileged enough to judge. So that's over to TJ. But yeah, I know for a fact the judges are more than happy to offer feedback. But again, I'll let TJ answer that one for you.
Shut up. But yes, I would be happy to give anyone feedback on any model that they would like. Of course, you don't have to listen to anything that I have to say. It's just one man's opinion. But yeah, of course, anytime. And not even just at a show. I mean, anyone can feel free to message me and ask me a question. I'll get to you eventually. I'm not expecting a ton of people to message me or anything, but I am busy, so sometimes I miss messages and texts and stuff. So yeah. But of course, I think JB, and I think I did too. Our buddy Steven Ortmans goes by Steve Builds Panzers on Instagram. I think he asked JB last year, because I think JB judged his models, and I was standing there when he was giving him some feedback. I think he might have asked me what I thought too, which he did, because I told him what I liked, and because I really like his models, and what I thought he could work on. So yeah, of course, it's cool.
And for the listeners out there, TJ and Jensen really do like each other. I keep chuckling at the looks on Martin's face when they're giving each other crap, but yeah, they're just giving each other some business. So anyway,
Of course, I love him. I can't wait. I'm going to be spending a whole week with him.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited.
All right. Next feedback is from Jeff Keenan. He says, "Hey, everyone, a belated congratulations on reaching 100 episodes. I've been an avid listener since the beginning, and it's been fun to watch the podcast grow and develop into what it is today. Thanks for all the work you do for the hobby." He goes on to say that he is severely color deficient, red colorblind, and was recently diagnosed with ADHD. And as you can imagine, being color deficient makes painting and weathering more difficult, he says. And having ADHD makes finishing a model even more challenging than it is for someone without it, because ADHD isn't just an attention thing, it impacts motivation as well. I was thinking and hoping it would be interesting to hear how modelers overcome different disabilities. I know there are people missing arms who model and sculpt, which really blows my mind. I would love to hear some short interviews from multiple people who describe how their disability impacts their modeling and what they might do to overcome it. Cheers, Jeff Keenan. I wanted to talk about this. I think it's a really, really great impact. So first of all, before we kind of get into this, if any of the listeners out there, if you have something that relates to this, we'd love to invite you to reach out to us and talk about it. You know, we've spoken with modelers that have physical and also some mental handicaps that they work, that the hobby is a challenge for, and in some cases it helps them. But I think, from that standpoint, it's very inspiring when you hear somebody talk about dealing with an issue, and in spite of that issue, making models to a really high level. So what do you guys think about this topic?
No, I think it's great. I think that would actually probably make for a pretty interesting episode. I know we've talked to other modelers and had them on the podcast before that have, deal with these kind of things. And, I mean, God, man, being colorblind and modeling, Jesus, that's got to be difficult. Wow. Color is so important to what we do, but I know there's a bunch of people out there that do it, and I don't know how. It's awesome. Props to all of them. That's, to me, super impressive. That's like, I mean, yeah, that color is what we do. That's what we work with a lot. And how they're able to overcome that is my hat's off to all of them. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, especially about the colorblind. I know a gentleman in our club here in Los Angeles is colorblind, and he uses his wife to help him with his color maturation and stuff like that. And he's talked about it. I'll see if I can get him say a couple words. There was a gentleman that worked for Hornet that scribed all their heads that has one arm. So just think about that. There's people out there that do this every day that have problems, physical and mental. And if and I'm sure, like Scott said, they're in this group, and we would love to hear from you. How do you handle it? How do you get through the process? So I think it's a great idea.
Awesome. Well, again, if you've got something that you would like to talk about, we'd love to speak with you. plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a PM on our Facebook account. Our next little bit of feedback, I'm going to play it for you right now. It's from Javier, and he was driving and was inspired, so he recorded it and sent it to us that way, which is great. Don't crash your car listening to the podcast. Anyway, here is his feedback.
Hey, Triple P guys. I just wanted to weigh in. I'm driving right now, so I thought I'd send a voice memo. Seemed easier than trying to text. But I just wanted to weigh in on TJ's point about being afraid to mess stuff up. I was an art student in college, and I had a painting professor, who would walk around the classroom and wait till we were like 95% close to being done with the painting. He would take a paintbrush and paint over our painting and say, "Fix it." And some kids would freak the out. Other kids would be like, "All right, challenge accepted." And by doing this, it made us better painters, and it made us not afraid of mistakes. And by making mistakes, and by being able to learn from those mistakes, and by making those mistakes and learning from them, is how we grow as artists and modelers. So, this idea of people saying, "Oh, I'm afraid to make a mistake," it's just plastic. To TJ's point, it's just plastic. You can fix it, you can strip it, you can paint it, you can start again, and you'll do so with a knowledge of knowing where you f***ed up and how to make it better next time. So, yeah, that's it. I just wanted to share this little voice memo with you guys. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
All right. And then last, we have Gil Vincent sent this in regarding our episode 100 group build. And he has some advice for people. He says, I learned a few things from the quote speed hashtag 100 Posse group build. Maybe this will help a few other modelers. And this is number one, having a modeling space in my home office gives me the opportunity to do a few minor things during short work breaks during the day. Number two, I need to restrict my tools and paints to only those that I actually need for the build at hand. Otherwise, my workspace on the cutting mat just becomes a little 8-inch by 8-inch square. I don't need every scriber, ruler, and other tool, just the ones I need for the build at that time. Others can be retrieved as needed and returned to their home back in the garage immediately afterwards. In other words, declutter the workspace. Amen on that, Gil. A little project management. If I know I want to paint the markings, I need to make that the first task. When researching marking options, start designing and cutting the mask. Painting will go much smoother and faster, and the remaining decal application will go by so much faster. Appreciate that, Gil. And you sending in the tips. I'm sure that'll be helpful for people. And if you have any feedback that you would like us to potentially talk about, again, send it to us at the Posse at plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com. All right, let's kick it over to TJ, who has a second discussion topic for us.
All right. Yeah, it's kind of like almost like an extension on the first topic, and actually came up because I think it was yesterday, like out of the blue, Ian messaged me and was like, "Hey, what are your what's your hobby bucket list? You seem like the type of person that would have one of those." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's random, but cool." So yeah, I kind of thought about it, and was kind of curious what are everyone here, what your goals or your bucket list, quote unquote, that kind of thing. Like, what do you want to accomplish with what you do? And we've kind of already talked about why we do what we do and what makes us continue to do what we do. But I kind of want to maybe evolve it into, what do you want to get out of it? And that could be anything. And that can be totally selfish reasons, anything. It's just, what do you want out of what you do? And I'm going to start with Jensen because I want to hear what he has to say, because I'm sure it's going to be silly.
Oh, it's going to be so silly. So apart from saying, like, I love awards and trophies, I really like awards and trophies. Genuinely, like, I've been published. I've had front cover pieces, not to brag, but that's really fun. Like, seeing your work in magazines and on front covers, it's really cool. Like, you can say, "Oh my word, that's mine," and seeing it like physically in print on like a shelf in a shop, really, really cool. Makes you feel awesome. So I've done that. Publishing, I do like to do it, but it's going to be like really rare now, as and when I just kind of feel like it. Being in like these books that AK release, being asked to be in one of them, that would be really cool. That's something I'd love to be asked to do. But I'd say for me, it's Gold Master at SMC, and I'd maybe Gold Master at Mosen. I think they do Gold Master. I think those would be great. Like, I genuinely feel if I was to achieve that, then I don't know where else there is to go. I know for a fact that I don't think I'd ever get like a gold demon for like figure fantasy painting. That's just another lifetime maybe. But yeah, being told my work is good, having a nice shiny bit of metal to prove it, that's nice. I'll fully admit I'm a bit of a trophy whore. I don't care. I'll say it. I like the shiny. I'm a magpie. So if I could have lots of shiny, I'd be very happy.
I'm a magpie. That's pretty good.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew that.
You just created your own new nickname. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
Like it was White Crayon, and now it's Magpie.
That's the magpie. Crap DC villain, but good name.
Scott, what about you? What would you say your goals in the hobby or your bucket list and things you want to accomplish?
I'm going to be opposite here, and this is nothing against Jensen. I'm not trying to be contrarian.
No, it's okay.
Here,
You can be completely against Jensen. That's fine.
yeah, I'm not motivated by trophies at all. I mean, if I get one, that's great. I really appreciate that. I want to get better. I want to continue to get better, and I want the opportunity to meet people and to be inspired by them, and to hopefully at the end of the day, when this modeling hobby is done, have done a little bit of good. That sounds really cheesy, I know, but just do a little bit of good. Hopefully help people, make this a little bit more of a social hobby, and help inspire them like I'm inspired by people every day. Sorry to be Pollyanna, but that's what I want.
I mean, Scott, I knew that was going to be your answer. I'm not upset by it. You said exactly what. If you had said anything different, I probably would have been annoyed, because I'm like, where is Scott and what did you do with him? I want him back, because that was the most Scott answer I think it could have been, which I love. I'm here for it, 100%. So I want to go to you next, Spartan. You've accomplished a lot in a lot of different avenues in the hobby. There's got to be something left that you haven't done that at the end of the day you want to be like, yeah, that's the thing that I'm glad I did.
I just want to build facades.
That's a great goal.
But it would be cool if people actually like them as much as I do. But when you said bucket list, it's kind of my thing since this year, because I literally make bucket lists now. Well, I just have one, which I didn't finish yet, a bucket list of models that I'm gonna build next. But there's like 2 models left after I finish this one, so then I will make another bucket list of 5 models, which are gonna be next. And I started thinking about them, and they kind of seem uninspired compared to what I've done this year, but I think they're gonna be fine. They're gonna be pretty exciting once I get to them. But yeah, like pretty much everything's been said or done in my case in terms of ambitions, like personal ambitions. So I just want to explore new things. Like I said with the 3D printer, like I'm thinking like, would it be possible to maybe print something and make that into the video subject? Like, use the printer for other things than printing small stupid details for armor models or dioramas, like lampshades in 1/35 scale or whatever. So we'll see where that goes, and maybe that's gonna be something new and really exciting. But yeah, I mean, just facades, they are just so much fun, man.
Grant, what about you?
I want to travel. I want to go to shows that I've never been to. I want to do that. I think that's my bucket list right now. I kind of like Martin's idea of a bucket list per year kind of thing. I like that. Sounds like a great idea. I'd like to go. I've been to Europe. I didn't go to many model shows, but I've been to Europe. I'd love to go to Asia. I'd love to go to Japan and see some of their shows. Their magnificent shows they have over there. Love to go to Australia and see all our buddies down there. I would love to do that. I think that's my bucket list. I think right now, I would just like to be better, good. I'd like to take that step from a decent figure painter to a better figure painter. I would like to take that step, but I just want to get better. Would I like to focus a little bit more on some more subject? Yeah. But I think just getting better and traveling is going to be what I want to do. It's just what I want to do.
All right, I guess I'll go ahead and bring us home, because I'm kind of like a touch of like what everyone else has said. It's like with you, Grant. Yeah, I would love to go to a show in Asia. I know there's quite a few really good shows in like the Philippines that I've seen that look amazing. And of course, Shizuoka in Japan, I would love to go to. That's high on my list of things that I would like to do, hobby adjacent, before I shed this mortal coil. But also kind of like Jensen, I would love very much to get a gold medal at a master's category at like SMC. I don't build models to win medals, but I like to win medals with the models that I build, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's cool. At being rewarded and acknowledged for what you do is a great feeling. And yeah, I'm not going to act like I don't want to win a medal, or if I didn't want to win a medal, I wouldn't take my work to shows, right? Like, and put it in the contest, because you can take your work and display it, which is great. And yeah, that's what I would like to do. Because when Ian asked me, I was like, I've kind of already done most of what I really set out to do. Like, I wanted, to get recognized by a brand, and I did, and that was cool. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to get published, and then I did in a magazine. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? I'd like to be in a book. Well, then I was in a book. So, I wanted to go to a European show and medal. I did that. So that was actually like really everything I wanted to do. That was it. At like high level goals, I got to where I wanted. And I can just take those goals and just move them slightly more. Like, okay, I got a bronze, so I want to at least get a silver. And if I get a silver, I would at least like to get a medal or a gold next time, that sort of thing. So those are kind of mine. But yeah, traveling to other countries to go to shows, that stuff is cool. Just like last year, I know we've talked a million times. That was the most fun I've had going to a show when I went to SMC last year. It was just the absolute best. And I know this year is going to be just as good and probably better. And I'm sure World Model Expo next year is going to be fantastic. And hopefully in 2026, we can go to Japan for a show. That's kind of like what I'm targeting, and that would be fantastic. So yeah, that's kind of where I am. It's I think it's up to you, Grant, for cross promotion.
The Plastic Posse is just one of several great scale modeling podcasts. If you're interested in more scale modeling content, you can head on over to modelpodcast.com. You will find links to many other great podcasts about our hobby. Posse also recommends several excellent modeling blogs and vlogs, such as Rick Lawler's Propaganda YouTube channel, Clayton Aukerby's Workbench Hobby YouTube channel, Stephen Lee's Sprue Pie and Frets, Chris Wallace's Model Airplane Maker, Jim Bates, A Scale Canadian TV, and David Brian Bridges' DBS Scale Studio blog.
And Night Shift's YouTube channel. That's pretty good. Go. I hear from my friends that one's a good one. So you may want to check that one out if you haven't already looked at that one. Yeah. It's pretty good. The video work is good, Hey, Jensen.
Hello.
I got a question for you. What time is it?
It's mad. With this run up to SMC, I'm just losing track of time. But I always know when it's time for merch. And it's right now. If you would like to rep the Posse, check out our awesome merch on our Triple P Spring page. You can find coffee mugs, t-shirts, jumpers, or even some of our world-famous Triple P lounge trousers. You can order all of your stylish Plastic Posse merch on the web at loungetrousers.com. But I'm good.
You are, man. It's always really hard to follow up with that. Well, thanks everybody for riding along with us for another Plastic Posse podcast. This has been episode 104. It's crazy. Can't believe we've done that many, but we continue to appreciate your support, especially our amazing Patreons and also our sponsors, Tankcraft, Bases by Bill, Tamiya USA, and AK Interactive. We appreciate that they support what we do. Remember, we're available on YouTube, and we will return in 2 weeks with our next episode. Martin, thank you so much for hopping on with us for the episode and talking scale models with us.
Thank you. It was amazing. Like, I felt like I was just a guest, so everything, but yeah, it was amazing. Like, seeing it all this come together live. It's just awesome. So thank you.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Seat's always there. And to Grant, JB, Jensen, and TJ, best of luck to you guys as you travel to your shows this coming week. And everybody who's traveling to MMSI and SMC, I hope everybody has a great time and everybody travels safely. Do you have any feedback, suggestions, ideas, or just want to drop the Posse a line? Send us your feedback. You can do it via email, plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com. You can do like Javier. You can send us a recorded MP3 and we'll listen to that. That's kind of a new thing. Or you can just post on our Plastic Posse group on Facebook. Well, I guess that just leaves one last thing to say. And until next time, yeehaw! Take care, everybody. One of the ways that you can help to support the Plastic Posse is to become a Plastic Posse Outrider. If you want to become an Outrider, it's really easy. You can even do it while wearing lounge trousers. Just go to our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/Plastic Posse Podcast. And then you can set up a recurring donation there. These contributions help offset the cost of bringing you the posse. There are 3 different tiers of support, and they start at just $1 a month. There's some great benefits to being an Outrider, like early access to our podcast, premium access to the host, the chance to appear on a podcast, and exclusive Triple P content and social events at model shows.
Let's recognize our amazing deputy marshals. These contributors help the posse do what we do. We sincerely thank them for their support. They are Wesley Becker, Eric Digleash, David Wassel, Matt Tutman, Glenn Fellon, Patrick Neff, Zach Pease, Robert Halleck, Brett Marcan, Greg Williams, Nick Wolf, Brian Clark, Sean Earl, Black Hat Scale Models, Ben Hardaway, Craig Jarbo, Adam Jackson, Red Beach One Studios, James Morondo, Mike Norris, Stephen Rodwell, Rick Cooper, Eric Ravina, John Hale, Eric Kane, Logan Hansen, Paul Burdett, Tim Gidcombe, Dan Newman, Robert Blocker, Tyler Moore, Derek Post, Craig Flynn, Scale Model Craft, Ken Childress, Nick Butta, Drew Gardner, Scott Hall, Frank Perone, The Voice of Bob, Jeremy Diamond, Ryan Smith, Terry Wilkinson, Chris Lovewell, Andrew Callis, Ethan Idemill, Steve Baker, Joe Porche, Patrick Brown, Jay Kidd, Brandon Gentry, Lee Fogel, Robert Klein, Mark Ewing, Toadman, Model Doc, Doug Reed, Greg James, Les Ricalla, John Everett, Uncle Buck, Mark Bradley, Eric Brubaker, Jeremy Moore, DP Scale Model Studio, Matt Johnston, Jeremy Elliott, Mike Talley, Previous Seat, Mediocre Middle-Aged Modeler, Dan Knopfel, and JC Osborne.
Let's not forget the Posse Foreman. This crew is made up of Posse Outriders who give the deputy marshals a hand. And we would also like to thank them for their support. David, Dwayne, AK Armor, Bill, JK, Casey, Theresa, Raphael, Russ, Stefan, Mikkel, LeVar, Gil, Mike, Michael, Steve, Scott, Emery, the Krieger, Ozzy Modeler, William, Jeff, Eddie, Ross, Warhoff Models, G. Baker, Tom's Stuff, Crazy Loca, Len, Cliff, Damon, Cody, Nukeman Mike, Ash, Irish Pat, Paul, iBones Models, Mr. Grizz, Jackson, Joel, Chris, Robert, Jamie, MD Models, Papa Steve Munsell, JV, Eric, Matthew, and David.
And of course, our $1 and free Posse Outriders. We appreciate our newest member, like our friend Alex Clark. Thanks, Alex. Lastly, would you kindly consider posting a review of the Triple P on your favorite podcast platform? Each posted review helps modelers find the Plastic Posse.